Hey folks, it's He's Daily and back with you. This is another scooter tour. This time I'm right in the heart of Melbourne at the moment. Thought it was a rather nice looking day for another ride, so here we're starting out at the Southern Cross railway station in the city. This is probably the biggest train station in Melbourne, primarily because most of all the regional trains that travel out of the city beyond the metropolitan region sort of depart and arrive from this particular station. So yeah, it's quite a big train station. And you see we take the elevator up to the first level because the scooter's a bit hard to take with the escalator, so this takes us up. And we can exit from the train station. So we're just exiting the train station out through these little entrance gates here. Have to swipe the my key. And this takes us out to just a large walking area that crosses from Spencer Street behind the train station over down in towards, well, basically around the Marvel Stadium, which will go for a little bit of a trip around. And that brings us down further, closer to the Docklands area. So this is just going to have a quick look back at some of the buildings at the city, in the city. Yeah, this just leads us down in towards the entrance gates surrounding Marvel Stadium. So it gets quite busy around here when there's an event happening, which you can see on the right hand side there. That's Marvel Stadium. There's these large walking areas around the whole perimeter of the complex, so it's quite a cool spot to go for a ride, really. It was a bit overcast today, but we weren't expecting any rain, so I thought it'd be nice to go for a ride, get out of the house for a bit. You can see we're coming around the back of the Marvel Stadium here, and it's sort of overlooking Victoria Harbour, which is kind of the main part of the Docklands area, where the boats come and dock. And we'll have a bit of a tour around that. I'll show you a bit more. But you can see a nice view from there. So yeah, we're skirting the outside of the Marvel Stadium here, and this is Channel 7's headquarters here on the left, one of our big mainstream media networks. Not that I watch much TV, but I guess it's just interesting. A few people skating around. There's quite a few sculptures you'll probably notice dotted around the place here and there, and you find those sort of crop up around the Docklands area as well. Like, I did a bit of a tour back when I was studying arts at uni, and we had a look at a lot of the pieces of art, sculptures and so on around Docklands. This is one of my favourite buildings on the right side there. You'll see it's a bit of one of those optical illusions. You'll see just the placement of the white and black windows, or coloured windows, gives it the impression where the floors of each level look like they're uneven, you know. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Doing some works there on the footpath, and just cross over. So this is coming down towards Victoria Harbour now. It's quite a popular spot for bike riders and visitors and that, walking. As you can probably see, a few people around. So I often see a lot of boats and things come in to dock. It doesn't look too busy here at the moment. Sort of was quiet down here today, which is kind of nice. So we'll follow this side of the harbour down. There's a few shops and restaurants and so on, I think, along here. I think there's a gym, there's a few other things there, can't remember exactly what. But yeah, so we come down here a little bit further and we have the library, the Docklands Library on the right, which is quite a good library actually. Like, they have sort of events and seminars and so on there held there as well, which some of those have been pretty interesting. I've attended a few of those, and yeah, something comes up that I'm interested in. See a few boats here. So this is the library there on the left. There's a few people out throwing the line in. It's obviously getting many bites, but it's always a fun way to spend a few hours. This is like about as far as we can go with the scooter. It's, you know, we're going to ride it off here into the water. But yeah, some nice views of the city from here when we look back. Looking out across towards the other side of the Docklands, and now that's over towards the Baltic Bridge and out towards the western side of Melbourne. There's a lot of industrial areas and sort of container yards for the shipping containers and so on. out that way. We'll slowly make our way out that way once we leave the Docklands. So just sort of making our way back the way we came down. I always like coming into this part of Melbourne and just admiring the architecture and the views of the city. It just always inspires me. I'd love to have one of these boats, but yeah, it's a bit beyond my budget, I suppose, one way of putting it. But yeah, this Docklands like area, it used to be, like going back quite some time now, I suppose, it did used to be a kind of an industrial wasteland for a long time before they redeveloped and sort of revamped everything. I guess over the last 20 years or so, they've done a lot of work down here in this part of the city. But yeah, it used to be quite a sort of rundown area, dilapidated, with not much activity beyond the boats coming in and out, and the shipping and so on. But yeah, it's just been revamped and sort of injected a whole lot of life into this part of Melbourne. It's quite a nice place to visit nowadays. It's one of my favourite areas to come and just stretch the legs and go for a walk, go for a ride now with the scooter. You can see the old tram tracks along the right hand side there. I don't think the trams use those particular tracks at the moment, but there are tracks just a little way further over to the right where they do still operate. I just had to stop to... I think I took my headphones off at this point, put them back in my bag. So we're just making our way around the other side of the harbour here. Another young guy throwing the line in there. I'll have to try that one day, come try and do a bit of fishing down here. Whoops. It happened a couple of times out on this particular day. Sort of, there's awkward moments when you can't get around someone, but more fishing. So I must catch some fish down here. There's a few people throwing the lines in. Speeding up a little bit here, getting movement happening coming along here. There's a few, there's like boat clubs and so on little cafes and stuff. More sculptures. It seems there's a little bit more busy down here on the other side.
Unicorn Garden.
And yeah, there's a Unicorn Garden, some sort of event, I suppose, for little kids that was on. Bring the kids there for a bit of fun. Had to slow down here, couldn't go racing around. Just all these, it's like cable coverings you can see running along the edges there. And quite a few people around, so. A few nice boats here. And coming right down opposite the point of the other side that we sort of stopped at before. And another look at the Balti Bridge there in the distance. And we'll make our way down towards that spot. A couple of empty IBCs laying around. Not sure what they're used for, but another one. So that's about it for the tour of the Victoria Harbour down the Docklands. So I'm just coming down here towards Balti Bridge. This is Rombarassi Park. Yes, a little bit of a parkland area. It's sort of between Docklands and the Balti Bridge. But Ron Barassi, he's a retired Australian rules football player. Pretty legendary as far as AFL players go. And the park's named after him. He's a famous footballer. So yeah, down more or less under the Balti Bridge here. It's quite a big bridge. It's one of the main arterials coming out of the city towards the northwest, Melbourne, and yeah, out towards the airport. You see the container yard there in the background, a lot of shipping containers. And a bit of a look. So this is more or less the start of the Moonee Ponds Creek Trail. This is where it ends or starts, depending on where you're looking, which way you look at it. And I was basically going to take the Creek Trail from here all the way back home. So it runs all the way back up close to where I live. But you'll see here, had a little bit of a setback where the creek trail was actually closed. You can see I'm pulling my phone out to consult the map, because I wasn't sure what had happened here. I sort of looked at the map and had guessed that the path was there, but this particular day it's closed. It looks like they're doing some work to the trail, so as you can see on the sign, Moonee Ponds Creek Trail closed, the detour. Strangely enough, there were no further detour signs to tell you which way to go, so I'm sort of just cruising around. I knew the direction I was headed, but yeah, I kind of would have expected a few more directions along the way. So sort of heading back to Docklands precinct up here. So the Melbourne Eye, which is the big wheel there on the distance of the left of view. And here's one of Melbourne's old classic trams, like the green and yellow trams that Melbourne they've been pretty famous for a long time as far as the trams go. They still use those for the city loop, the city circle, sorry. There's a circle that runs around the outskirts of the city, which is a free service. And they still use those old trams for that. And it's good to see them still getting used, to be honest, I think. It's a bit of history and a bit of culture there. So this is a big shopping precinct on the right for Docklands. So there's an ice skating centre here on the left, which I had no idea was there. I wasn't sure which way to go here. I thought, I'll go take this track on the left, and it wouldn't have mattered too much. Both kind of led to the same place, more or less. But this is where I sort of felt some more directions would have been nice, particularly this intersection. I wasn't too sure where to cross here to meet up with the creek trail, but I had a feeling it was up this way, crossing over the creek here, you can see. But then I sort of noticed there was no real way I could cross with all those fences and so on. It just didn't feel like I was going the right way. I'm consulting Google Maps again, just to get my bearings and figure out where this track was. And I was lucky I did, because I was going the wrong way. So we turn around, we'll come back the way we came. See the city there, we're getting a bit further out here. This is Footscray Road. It's the main road that runs from the city out to Footscray. Well, there's two main roads, but this is one of the two main roads. We cross over. And this is the trail here. So it was a little bit hidden and the signage wasn't too clear, so Google Maps was pretty good and made it pretty clear. So this path now just skirts along the creek, more or less following the Moonee Ponds Creek Trail now. And doing quite a bit of development here with for the Westgate Tunnel, which is scheduled to open next year or maybe the next couple of years. But it's a massive project, like, yeah, to link all the western suburbs and western arterials to the city. Make it easier to travel. We've got a few of these rail bridge overpasses that we come underneath. So this is coming up to Dinan Road, which is the other main road into Footscray. You can see a lot of the works there for the Westgate Tunnel project. We're still following Moonee Ponds Creek here. This is what I tend to follow this for the rest of the trip. You can see overhead the huge city link. It's a freeway that's been raised. It follows on from the Balti Bridge and stretches for quite a few kilometres. So one of the train yards there on the right. Coming around the sort of the outskirts of North Melbourne. It's quite a nice ride just along the creek here. The scenery's not all that flash, but it's quite a nice ride. Beats being stuck in traffic. So this is the Victoria train station on the right. So around Kensington. Sort of approaching Flemington Racecourse Road. I think it's Racecourse Road. Yeah, so this is coming into Flemington here. You come underneath Racecourse Road here. Oh, bright. And this follows back around under Flemington Bridge, which is another train station. So this is about Alexander Road, which is main road out from Melbourne, like into, you know, from the city out to the other northwestern suburbs, Moonee Ponds and Essendon. Come back around under. I was contemplating riding down along the creek there further to the centre. I thought, no, we'll stick to the track for now. We drop into the waterway just up here. So it's a little bit of a shortcut going this way. It's not much, but so we can see the bridge. This is like the last stretch of that long bridge we've been riding under. You see it's coming back down now. And a lot of interesting graffiti along here too, which I always appreciate. You know, like, I guess a lot of people don't, but yeah, it's one of those things. I don't mind. It's just, I'm always fascinated how it changes over the years, like how, you know, you see things come and go, like most things I guess, but just the way bits of graffiti pop up and then they get, you know, covered over and deteriorate. So we're still following the waterway here, the Moonee Ponds Creek. You can see that all that's left of the creek at this point is that little channel, which is probably a metre wide, so it's not much, but I'd imagine once we get a bit of rain, that would overflow, I guess, into these wider channels that we're riding through. This is quite a long stretch up here, just following the creek, which you can't really see, but it just takes us out towards Brunswick, between Brunswick and Moonee Ponds, pretty much. And I think we'll take this little exit here. Let's get back up onto the track. So this is Brunswick Road that we're coming under. It's the main road, runs between Brunswick and Moonee Ponds. And crossing back under the freeway once again. Which this trail tends to do, sort of crosses over and under the freeway a number of times. As you can see, we go back under again. Passing bikes with ease. It's great. It's funny how the scooter really turns some heads. Well, people act like they've never seen a scooter before. It's just always amusing. And I've been getting quite a few questions from people when they've had a chance to, stop somewhere and had a chance to ask about it. So I suppose it's not all that common, like especially the type of scooter I'm riding. I don't see a great deal of them around. You see more of the Segway sort of scooters that are a little bit more common. But so we're still coming along beside the freeway, just behind that retaining wall there. We're sort of raised up above the creek coming along here. So we're heading kind of north at this stage, sort of traversing the boundary of Moonee Ponds and Brunswick to the right, Moonee Ponds to the left. Probably heading towards, getting somewhat close to Essendon at this point, which would be on the left side as well. Back under again, under the freeway. People out walking. Yeah, it's like corrugated pathway. So yeah, this is coming up to Albion Street. And this is where my car blew up not so long ago, which led me to buy this scooter. It's just more or less just to the side of that bridge. I've taken the car out to IKEA to get some furniture and a couple of things, and coming home, like IKEA's right across the other side of the city, and yeah, copped a lot of traffic coming home. And the car doesn't like it when it's idling, getting stuck just sitting there in traffic. And it got a bit hot. And I tried to stop and let it cool down and keep the water up, but it didn't help all that much in the end. I got to that point. I was almost home. Like, this is really not far from where I live. And the car had had enough. I was stuck at some lights and something just let go and it was bang, and steam and stuff pouring out of the bonnet. And I got to just beside that bridge, more or less, there's a little roundabout. And it's on a bit of an incline, and the car just couldn't hack it and stalled. And I was not able to start it again until the next day. But at that point, there was that many things wrong with the car that it was just not worth my while fixing any of it. So I cut my losses and bought myself an e-scooter. I haven't looked back, to be quite honest. I get around pretty easily. I can get to and from work easy enough. Public transport's pretty decent around Melbourne, so yeah. We've had to come in a few streets here. The trail sort of veers off from the creek, just around these little streets. You can see here it comes back, joining the creek again at this point. So we're more or less in Essendon here. Coming into Essendon. And this is Moorland Road. So there's a nice little park area around here. Be a good little spot for an outdoor party or something, I reckon. But probably get shut down. It'd be a nice spot for it. And this is just coming around the back. Almost up on the Cross Keys Reserve. Which is our departure point from this trail. So we just take the exit here. This is Cross Keys Reserve. It's the Cross Keys Hotel, just there on the right. We have the Strathmore Train Station opposite on the left. Little cafe. And we cross over here. Cut through the train station underpass here into my neck of the woods. Just having a look at my voltage levels. Still got a fair bit of battery, is at least half, which is pretty good considering we've probably travelled a good, I don't know, 15 k's or so. Might be further. Just coming up the other side of the train station. This is Woodland Street. that's about it for this tour. Hope it's been an enjoyable trip. I had fun, and let's do it again sometime soon. So hopefully we'll see you then.